Guys, welcome to Real Talk. My name is Jerry Miller. Thank you kindly for joining us. It's great to be with you on a Monday, a spring Monday, here in Charlottesville in Central Virginia. We have a Commonwealth-wide audience and a worldwide audience here on the I Love CVille Network. We're presented by Yes Realty Partners, Keller Williams Alliance, and one of our absolute favorites, Ally Property Management. Trusted names, guys in the real estate game. So much to cover on today's program. I want to first give some props and some accolades to Judah Wickower, our director. He's our infrastructure compass or North Star, the man behind the scenes that just keeps us, online and looking sharp and sounding good. Judah, if you could, let's go to a four-shot and let's welcome some fantastic people to today's show. We have, of course, on a Monday, Nikki Chambless, who joins us, 2-3 Mondays a month?
Pretty much, yeah. Good morning, good morning.
Good morning. She's turned into an absolute dynamite broadcaster on this network. She is a team leader and just a stakeholder with Keller Williams.
Yes.
Today we also have Suzanne Riehl, the property manager and director of Ally Property Management on set, someone I'm proud to call a friend and one of the best communicators in real estate, and I sincerely mean that. If you have a rental property, and I know firsthand because I'm a client, Ally Property Management is who you should contact to manage your real estate. And she has welcomed Kari Miller to the show, the executive director and founder of International Neighbors.
Correct.
We're super pumped to find out about what Kari Miller does. She brought a swag bag that had an umbrella that is a blue-skied umbrella. So anytime you're walking in inclement weather or thunderstorms and you look up, it looks gorgeous under your umbrella, and stuff like that just warms my heart.
Oh.
So why don't we do this? I'll stop talking. We'll get to Kari Miller. Introduce yourself to everybody that's watching the show.
Okay, good morning, good morning. My name is Kari Miller. As Jerry said, I am the founder and executive director of International Neighbors. And the mission of International Neighbors is to equip newcomers who are refugees and SIVs with the network and skills needed to thrive, not just to survive in Charlottesville. And so one of the many things that I love about CVille is this population that we get to work with, and thanks to Suzanne, we get to work even more closely with the greater community. So happy to be here to talk about the organization and these neighbors.
She has absolutely, Suzanne has sung your praises. And I don't want to steal your thunder. First, introduce yourself, Suzanne, to everyone that's watching the show. And then second, offer some perspective of International Neighbors and why they mean so much to you.
Sure. So my company has been we've been operating for about 2 years, and I'm very excited every day. I love my work, love working with people, love working with folks like Kari, and certainly Jerry and Nikki, both clients of ours, and that's very exciting. Love growing the business, getting to meet people. But as one looks out at the community, there is definitely this need to help folks, and that's where Kari came into view and into our world. 2 times, actually. One time I met her when she was coming to look at one of our properties, and the second time when an actual client of ours had already connected with Kari, and he was determined to get an International Neighbors family into that unit. And so that was really when we became best friends. And
I've talked almost daily now, I think, for the past couple of months.
Oh, very nice.
Oh my
Besties
gosh.
over here.
Yeah. And if I could sing her praises a bit, not only have you been able to house 4 families, but that is 29 individuals who would otherwise still be in a hotel going on 9-10 months. So thank you for that, for equipping folks with what they need. Everyone needs a home, right?
That's
Absolutely.
amazing.
And we thank you for opening those doors.
Absolutely.
Yes. Oh my goodness. So I have a question for you because you mentioned that you work with refugees and SIVs.
Correct.
What does SIV mean?
Thank you for asking that. Many people may not know that SIV stands for Special Immigrant Visa Holder.
Oh,
And these are
okay.
folks from Afghanistan or Iraq who worked with our military overseas in those countries. And so when folks get invited by the government, as all refugees are, there's a lot of speculation Refugees don't come from Mexico. They don't come from Norway, where there's never been a war, for example. Refugees come from Syria, from the Congo, other places in the world that you can only imagine just the worst of the worst occurring. So the folks who get resettled to Charlottesville, less than 1% of refugees worldwide get resettled. And so they really are the cream of the crop. And SIVs not only are new neighbors, but also complete war heroes, because they did
Yes.
work alongside the U.S. troops.
That's amazing. Yeah.
So we're
Absolutely,
really
and that
lucky.
means a lot to you.
It really does, and it's quite closely related to what I had been training to do in the Air Force, being a linguist, and so it's very near and dear to my heart. And truly, some of my instructors were probably at one point in their careers SIV holders. So,
Right.
like, truly, the people who trained me and were, my school family there in Monterey with studying, it would surprise me if they were not, because I know some of them could not go back home if they wanted.
Of course.
So, yeah.
And we have
these
about
are-
300 families here in Charlottesville who could not go home
Yes.
to those places, because they are known to be allies for America. And I tell you what, I hope everyone listening to the show can meet these remarkable people, because they truly are the most patriotic folks that you could ever meet. When we first get a referral, one of the first things we do is bring a welcome bucket with a first aid kit and different things for the home, but the most prized possession is that American flag. And the only time that one person was disappointed was that it was too small. I want a big American flag. I mean, they truly are the most patriotic people that you'll ever meet.
That's amazing.
That's
We'll welcome our
wonderful.
friends from NBC 29 to the program. We have folks at WINA watching the show. Neil Williamson, hello. Bill McKenzie, hello. One of the common themes we talk about on the show is the housing shortage and the fact that we need to figure out how to create more inventory in the region. And we're all in that space in one way or another. Can we highlight, and Suzanne, why don't we start with you here? It's expensive to live here. We know that. We
More and
need
more.
more inventory. We know that. Put in perspective through your work with Allied Property Management, any themes along this topic point, and why doing property management and putting people in homes is so important to you and means so much to you when you see you work with someone from International Neighbors. You saw some photos. I can't wait to see those pictures. And they are so happy, and you help make that happen.
So definitely the trends are there's such a shortage. I can say statistically that just this weekend I put 2 properties out there, and within 2 days I have 30 people interested in one property. It's in Fluvanna, where we know there's a huge shortage. There's a 3-bedroom house, beautiful piece of land, and over 30 people, and even there were 5 more this morning. People want to see it. I set one appointment, and people are rushing out there. Then there's a place in the city on Cleveland, and same thing, we have about 20 people interested in the place, just because now is such prime time, too, when students are shifting around. And so, yes, there's a huge shortage. I am presently also talking with 2 folks who are working on builds for new housing where there's a structure on the property that they're going to knock down and put up. One of them is going to be 23 units, and another one is going to be 32 units. And I'm talking with these prospective clients in the build stage, working out financials for those. There is a huge need, and I think that some owners with the cash are able to look at that and say, here's a good opportunity for all of us.
Great take. What do you see in Kari from your side? Everyone needs a house.
Correct.
You help make that happen.
Well, it's true. And thankfully, the folks that actually own these properties and are willing to rent to someone that doesn't have a prior rental history. They fled the war. They don't have a credit history. And so thankfully, these are folks that are working very, very hard, and really 2 to 3 incomes in a house would allow success. That's how many people need to work to be able to live here in Charlottesville. But Charlottesville is a place that the government resettles about 250 refugees a year and has since 1998. So these folks make up about 6% of our population and are very much unknown to the greater community. And obviously, they aren't in a place to be able to purchase a home. That is the dream, and I'm happy to say of the 300 families we've helped over 6 years, we do have 14 homeowners. One that received a Habitat home just this past week after many years of working on it.
That's awesome.
So that is just, we really need to equip our neighbors to succeed.
I think we should give you
and-
some props for that.
Okay.
The round of applause. That is amazing. That is amazing.
They are amazing. This is all the refugee community who is just, one of the first things though is, okay, they land with debt because the U.S. government requires them to pay airfare back. So you've got a family of 8 from Burundi, an $8,000 bill that you have to pay back the government. And they're okay with that. And then they start working minimum wage. And one of the first questions is how my rent is $2,000 and I bring home $2,100 a month. And unfortunately, we have lost quite a few families to other states. Last summer alone, we had 16 families that left. And so they love Charlottesville, and sometimes, they aren't able to live here. They aren't able to afford it. So not only do we need more housing that is affordable, but also jobs that pay people, that they can be compensated enough to just have the basic human needs met.
Well, what does that look like moving from another country to here in that circumstance, not having the credit score, not having the history that's needed for finding a home, but also what does it look like with finding work locally? You mentioned minimum wage. I would imagine not everybody coming over is low or uneducated at all. So what is going on there? What does that look like for them?
Well, everyone that is resettled here through the resettlement agency that is with the government, these folks have been vetted more than anybody that's vetted to become a member of the FBI, for example. And
Yes.
so they are highly, I like to say highly trainable. Maybe English might be their 5th or 6th language. We have one family that we just recently moved in. He was a doctor in Afghanistan and will be doing housekeeping somewhere, unfortunately, because
the training doesn't
Correct.
transfer.
No.
But
No.
also, you just said 5th, I'm sorry to interrupt, but you just said 5th or 6th language. I can barely speak one.
Right.
So that alone is a huge indicator of high intelligence, high ability to adapt and adjust, and so it almost seems like maybe there's room for not only figuring out better housing, but better transfer of employment as well.
Absolutely.
And I know that's not the topic of the show, but all these things interrelate.
Right. Because in order to purchase or own a home, you must have some type of a job that allows for mobile, so increased mobility, and also just to be
Yeah.
able to improve and earn more money so that they can in turn give back. Everyone wants to do that.
Yes, absolutely. So what are some of the other roadblocks that they're facing when they first get here and are looking for work and housing?
Well, the resettlement agency gets them their first home, which is usually a very basic place, and as I said, takes most of the income, if not more. But really, language, we all know language is power.
Yes.
Really, unless you're interacting, you're not going to be able to acquire a language. You mentioned that you are able to speak one
Barely
language,
speaking
maybe.
one, yeah, sometimes.
And as
after
Americans,
coffee.
English speakers, we're really spoiled
Yes.
that English is spoken so many places in the world. And part of what I feel like we do at International Neighbors is to educate the greater community that just because someone's English is not perfect doesn't mean that they're not brilliant. And like I said, they are
Yes.
3rd, 4th, 5th languages. And just like an infant that is born, you would not expect that infant to just go and thrive without some type of scaffolding, right? And that's what our newcomers need as well.
Absolutely. Oh my goodness. So then are there collaborations in place right now to help with that employment factor, or is
We
it
are
just...
always looking for better housing. We're always looking for better jobs.
Okay.
And, yes, if there's anyone out there that would love to have a crew, we just met with Music Today, for example, last week. And
Oh,
so
nice.
they're going to be hiring a group of 14, and I can't wait for that collaboration to take place, because that's a company that's established and caring and is diverse, and that's really what part of CVille being so great has to offer.
Well, and Suzanne, I want to loop you in here in a minute, but also, what would that look like if someone is listening right now and they're like, you know what, I really want to help with jobs, I have some, or I know someone who has some. How do they reach you? Or who do they reach? Is it you?
Internationalneighbors.org. Yep. There
Okay.
is, you can follow us on social media, reach out via those channels, as well as go to the website. And Yes, anybody that's
Wonderful.
ready to be a great neighbor. And, we all have something to offer, whether it's language, whether it's a vehicle. Oh, I just got the best video of our 59th vehicle that was donated.
That's
and
awesome.
so a great couple from the Congo who I think slept in their vehicle that night. They were so excited. But anybody that might have a vehicle to donate, a house to offer. Jerry Miller, if I may sing your praises a little bit, before I even got to meet him, we were moving in thanks to Suzanne.
Excuse me.
A wonderful family from Afghanistan who had been resettled here when the Taliban took over, and were in a hotel for 6 months. And that was, the children wanted to start school, the father, they wanted to begin
Can you
jobs.
start school if you're living in a hotel? Does that count as a permanent address?
Well, there was some adaptation with the county, so
Yeah.
eventually, after a few months at the hotel, they started to bus them to schools. But it's not the permanent school district, right?
Yeah.
Everyone wants to be settled. I mean, these folks have gone through such turmoil, and they'll tell you all about it. And, they're just so excited to begin the American life for which they fought and for what they deserve,
Truly,
right?
like they gave up their whole home, truly. And while there was struggle there, it was still their home to
Sure.
help out, to support America and that vision. And
Right.
it's amazing. So then my next question, Suzanne, is for you. What does this look like as a property manager? Because I know a lot of times there are rules in place that make it almost impossible for someone to rent without a credit score, without a rental history. How have you managed to work with that?
Well, it's a great question. and Kari and International Neighbors certainly co-signs, supports the scenario, but rent is covered for a lot of months through the IRC, and please correct me if I'm wrong, IRC for several months. But you did say at one point, when I asked you this very question, like how far down the line are they able to start being self-supportive? And you said it's usually 4 to 5, sometimes 6 months, and then the families are usually able to support themselves, and they're able to get out into the community and get a job.
Right, and that's what they want. Everyone wants to be self-sufficient, right? And so, there are haters out there, unfortunately. I was shocked when starting this nonprofit that there's any politics in the nonprofit world, but
How could there be haters?
that is a great question,
No, I
Jerry
don't even
Miller.
understand that.
Oh my goodness, let me show you my emails. No, I'm just kidding.
But it's
You know-
probably embarrassing to society as a whole, the emails that you do receive, right?
It is, and which
Yeah.
is why I love our refugee community so much. Sometimes I'm like, okay, I'm just going to go visit and not only get a phenomenal meal from Syria, but also just have my faith restored in humanity, because gosh, we have a tendency as resource people to complain about things that really don't matter. So these folks are just resilient and eager to give back. I'm proud to say in 6 years now that we have 7 former clients that are now financial donors, and that just
That
shows
is
so much
awesome.
that, we don't give handouts, we give hand-ups, and they are truly eager to give back. We also the family we just moved in recently, I've noticed next door there's a nice flag that is a Confederate flag right next door, and I thought, well, we're going to have to teach these folks, I notice they have pit bulls, and I do love pit bulls, and I love Muslims, and I feel like both pit bulls and Muslims people tend to think are subpar in some way. But I am recruiting for Rednecks for Refugees. I would like to think
Wait, okay, is that actually a thing? Is this the new
Absolutely.
hashtag?
Rednecks for Refugees,
Oh my
yes. And I
gosh.
first, introduced this Afghan family of 10 to their new Confederate flag-loving neighbor. And
Yes.
stay tuned. Maybe there will be some type of a union.
That really
That
happened?
might-
Is
Yes.
that true? That's unbelievable.
Yeah, because this is what she does
Yeah,
to help
she's
people
amazing.
Oh
be
my
settled.
God, that is amazing.
So we had Kari in one of our sales meetings a few months back, and it was just incredible and honestly mind-blowing the struggle that people are moving here with after having served and given up all security they have in their homeland to be able to work with our military, then to come over. Yes, they're being moved here, but they're being moved here with a crap ton of debt. That $8,000 in debt with no ability to get work or housing. Can you imagine that? Yeah, right? So they're starting out with debt. Thankfully, Kari is here because I can't imagine what it would be like to show up here in a new country, not speaking the language, or at least not speaking it well, and being judged harshly because of the way I dress, or the way my
Correct.
skin looks, or my accent. Like, I truly can't imagine.
And that's all fear-based.
It is.
So
Yeah.
I feel like what we're
It's
doing
because you
is
don't know.
Right.
It's about not knowing. And
Right.
as soon as you take a minute to know something,
right.
truly, that's what it takes is, hey, open your mind up. Not that we're trying to change anybody's mind. It's just your neighbor
Right.
who might wear a hijab is way more like you than different.
Exactly.
So much
Exactly.
more.
You're on point.
You are.
I
You're
feel
killing it
very
today.
You're a great
passionate
neighbor,
about this.
Steve. Great
I know.
neighbor. You need an umbrella.
She's a hell of a broadcaster right now. She's got a lot of props coming in. Let me relay some of this on air. So this is from Kevin Higgins. He's watching in Greenwood, Virginia. The people coming here through international neighbors come here hungry to work, to succeed, and take advantage
Yes.
of any opportunity. We would be fools not to invest in that energy.
Thank you.
Kevin,
this
you're
is-
awesome.
What a great
This is from
statement.
Dan Pettit. Kari, do you know if all the foreign doctors who move to the U.S. have to go through residency if they want to become a U.S. doctor?
Oh, they have to they have to get the GED. They have to go
They have
way,
to start
way,
from
way,
scratch?
way. Scratch.
Man.
Scratch. That, yes,
Years.
yes. It's really pretty disheartening because this is someone with so many skills, but no matter what, America has people just go back to square one. You had a master's degree, not here, you're going to get your GED. And, I guess it's the price of freedom, right? They're so grateful that they are in a country where they don't have to be outside and dodge bombs. So,
Yes.
Can you put that in perspective? The feeling that comes with, because we take it for granted. And
Absolutely.
you
Because
served
we've
our
never
country.
experienced it. Well, and
So thank you for serving our country.
Yes.
But freedom, can you
Yes.
put that, like, what that means to them in perspective for us?
oh, gosh, I mean, it's really just difficult to even explain. Just that freedom, not going outside and being fearful. Although I must say that a lot of the neighborhoods, it's one of the most frustrating things I think for me is that they've already overcome so much, and many, have visible injuries, maybe missing limbs and things. But they also have been in neighborhoods where one man worked really hard. He got a vehicle and the back window was shot out in our neighborhood just right up the street here. Some of the neighborhoods that they're able to afford, they are also dealing with a lot of unsafe issues. 4th of July, which we Americans love. I'll never forget a couple of sisters from Iraq who were like, that first 4th of July, they had no idea. They thought it was another bombing. So they hid in their closet for 48 hours until they realized, oh, wait, that was a celebration of lights and,
wow.
sound. So it really puts things into perspective because we are very sheltered and take many things for granted, more than we even know.
Well, and it's a very common thing. Veterans who are coming back after having served overseas, 4th of July is often, while that is technically their holiday, and the same for our refugees who are seeking shelter here and finding a new home. 4th of July is really hard. The fireworks is very hard. Sometimes small things like people carrying an umbrella is very hard. Things that you wouldn't think of can be very triggering, and rightfully so, in a way that is really hard to grasp or understand if you're not part of that community.
Right.
So then, Suzanne, we're talking about some of the areas where people are moving to and where you're helping find housing for them. Are we maybe in the outskirts, kind of like the Drive to Qualify situation? Is this within the city of Charlottesville? Where are you finding homes?
Well, do you know how many individuals you have housed?
No.
How many people that
No.
you have? I'm pretty sure that there will be a little, maybe Muslim girl named Suzanne one day, but there are
Suzanne Riehl.
4 homes in the city, and it is a total of 29 individuals just in the past few months that
Suzanne
you have
Riehl is
given
the
their first
best.
American
God, I love this
address.
lady.
Yes. So you and the folks, the clients that you represent, I highly recommend her.
You're so sweet.
How are you having conversations with these homeowners that originally part of their agreement is having a credit score, having certain aspects? And while I know International Neighbors provides a lot of surety and security with this in ways that makes a lot of sense, some people, I would imagine, are still going to struggle with, hey, but
Well, you're looking at one right here. I just said I trust her. I mean, I'm like, I'm going to trust you. That's literally what I trusted her.
How do you approach this, though? What does the beginning of that conversation look like? Because I also feel like there are probably people listening and watching who this might be life-changing for them,
touch
right?
them.
Yeah.
Right.
So what does,
And
what
it's
does that sound like?
education, right? You educate a
Education,
period.
rewards, feel good.
What do you say
Maybe
to
what
them?
Jerry-
Like, pretend you're talking
This
to
is
me.
well, first of all, I talk Kari.
Yes.
And International Neighbors, and just how amazing it is to see. I can now experience seeing the smiles on the children as they move into the homes. I'll never forget the little boy running through the house with his American flag, and they're just sights that you cannot forget. It's heartwarming. You know you're doing the right thing. It's
Absolutely.
great.
It's
And-
true.
But let's say my house is up for rent. It's not right now, right? Which I'm very grateful for. Thank you, Suzanne. But let's say
two
it were,
clients
and
here.
you were
Wow.
calling me, and I'm like, hey, but I'm really concerned because from everything I've ever learned in being in real estate and my few months in property management that I did not stay in because it was just not a good fit for me. For everything I've learned says that credit score is the best indicator of having a good tenant. What do you say to me?
But it's not the only indicator.
What else
You
should I
know,
look at?
So look at, first of all, the support IRC, International Neighbors, provides,
Yeah.
and the fact that these folks, just like Kari said, are coming in with life skills.
Okay, that's great. So
And they want to
they are
work.
employable. It's just they haven't had the opportunity yet.
Right, and they
because
need-
work history is another part of what I'm looking for as a landlady, right?
That's right.
important. So you mentioned IRC. So what does that partnership with IRC look like?
Well, IRC is the official resettlement agency.
Okay.
And so their tag is from harm to home, and we say that we are surviving to thriving. IRC obviously is an international organization. We are a Charlottesville organization. You know, I am a teacher by trade. Props to teachers. I do feel like they can do anything and
Yes,
should be
those
paid
skills are
accordingly, but-
transferable to all
Right?
the things.
Absolutely.
And this
Oh
was
my
something I did
gosh.
want to just
Yes.
insert that I really wanted to ask you, what was the beginning of International Neighbors? Because you're getting close to
Right,
that opportunity
right,
to
right.
say why you founded this company.
Well, I saw the need as an educator. I was teaching English as a second language at Greenbrier Elementary, and we had 23 different languages there. One of the neighborhoods that our school served housed many of these phenomenal folks from Burma, from Bhutan, from all over. And I was realizing I'm supposed to be teaching English in the classroom, but that they had so many more needs. And it was becoming glaringly obvious, those children who are resourced and those who are under-resourced. You know, the refugee children, any adult in their home was always working to pay for the rent over the roof over their heads, whereas those resource children came to school on Monday talking about their trips or soccer and things. And so really, I complained that somebody should do something, for about 10 years, and then I realized, dang it, I guess somebody's
you.
going to do something. It's me.
You're amazing. This lady is amazing.
Oh, gosh. Only inspired by the people that I serve. And so, yes, I just Googled how to start a nonprofit. And here we are 7 years later. And thanks to Chad Bassett, who did the logo. And, I still learn every day, not only the nonprofit world, but also just about the wonderful cultures that we have here in Charlottesville.
That is amazing.
I love that.
This is just a beautiful story here. More stuff coming in right here. So this is from Dan Pettit for Suzanne. What is the average monthly rental cost now? Can you break it down? 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, 3 bedroom, homes, standalone, and condos. So she's a great barometer for this. Do you want to offer a little perspective on that?
Sure. So if we go up the line, I would say, of course, it depends on the location and also kitchen bathroom scenarios, but 1 bedroom is probably going anywhere from $1,200 to $1,350, and 2 bedrooms $1,450 to $1,600. 3 bedrooms probably touching that, depending on the location, $1,550, $1,700. But then when we start talking 3 and 4 bedroom homes, you're popping easily into the 2000s right now. And we're really raising rent right in this time period right now where tenants are moving out, and we're putting rents up to $300 a month.
This is for Kari from Aaron Newton. So many jobs are going unfilled right now. Let's welcome them into these job vacancies. Everyone's hiring. How can we help as a community to get people into the vacancies that are out there?
Well, we tackle just about every vacancy that we see. Every single 100% of the folks that we're working with are employed, and as I said, often looking for a second or third job because the numbers just don't add up when you come and you have to pay back an airfare bill and rent and utilities. You know, they're constantly looking for more work. So we've had some very, very great bosses that are willing to work and realize that maybe English is not as proficient. You know, when we all acquire English, it's not just hearing the language and speaking the language, but reading it and writing it. There are 4 different areas of language acquisition that take time. And so as long as there is an employer who's willing to focus on the positives that these individuals bring, then we can find eager folks who are willing and able to begin employment.
Yeah, and knowing one of those does not indicate knowing and having the other. They're not all equal. That's for sure. Those aspects of language, that's hard. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This has come in for Suzanne. And Scott Williams, hello. Welcome to the show. He loves what's... We've got a lot of people watching right now. For Suzanne, do you think the rental increases will eventually stop? Is it sustainable long term? That's a good question.
It's a great question. I think that they'll probably level off, but who knows?
Who knows? It's certainly tied to the inventory shortage that we have in this market. So here's a question from Jennifer, who's watching in Belmont for Kari. What are the goals for the next 3 to 5 years for International Neighbors? How do you expand? Are you going to look to push the footprint out further? Please offer perspective and how you're going to grow this nonprofit, she says.
Okay, well, that is a great question. We are now a staff of 2 full-time people, myself and Adeline Massa, who Suzanne has worked closely with. Hopefully in the next 3 to 5 years, we will have a full staff, more full-time people. We do have 4 part-time folks right now as well. That's all based on funding. We do have over 200 volunteers who are phenomenal, and they bring lots of different skill sets. So hopefully more of them will bring the skill set of raising money and seeing us grow to a place, hopefully being able to purchase our own building. Right now we're renting right off of Cherry Avenue, and we love the location. But even since the beginning, we've constantly been working with a wait list for all of our programs. And so hopefully in the next 3 to 5 years, we'll be able to meet all of the needs that are referred to us, because right now we really aren't able to do that just because of our capacity and our financial restraints. So as far as pushing it out further, we were on NPR back in 2017 and have requests from 28 different states that they would like to have an International Neighbors there. And so there are 8 other women, she-ros I like to call them, who have started grassroots refugee organizations as well in their states. And so we got together in 2019 and created the Hello Neighbor Network, which is countrywide, and we are adding smaller organizations each year so that, you know, more and more of America is welcoming refugees, and some are welcoming better than others. And so really, we just want to equip our newcomers with what they need to thrive, and also equip the local community with what they can do to really just welcome these worthy folks.
That's amazing. So I would like to, and I don't know if this is like breaking a fourth wall or something like that, but I would like to ask our listeners and our viewers, if you're listening and watching this in a place where you have the ability to type some things, if you think of a workplace or an industry or a person that you think would be a good person to connect, who would want to contribute, volunteer, donate, whether it's a vehicle or a rental property, availability for something to rent, please just go in the comments and tag somebody, tag International Neighbors, and then tag the person that you're thinking of, because I think that would be a really, really wonderful thing. And doing that right now is going to be the time, because if you wait till later, I don't know about you, but I'm not going to remember. So when I looked distracted a minute ago, I was tagging somebody that I know that runs a local business, like a cleaning company, truly. So a lot of their work happens in the evening, which is a good time for somebody who's looking for that second job.
Absolutely.
So I think that he would be a great resource.
And it's also supplies and things like kitchen items,
Oh, that's
smaller
true. So what kind of
appliances.
supplies are needed and helpful? Just
Well,
everything?
Pretty much
The
everything.
show's blowing up over here.
Oh.
Kari Miller has got some followers over here and people asking
It's
questions.
so
I don't mean to
awesome.
interrupt. Please finish your thought there.
What was the thought?
Supplies.
Supplies.
What are
Okay,
the
well,
needs?
you know,
Yes.
and we, if we had $1 for every offer of supplies or stuff, which is great, and that's why we have forged partnerships with the Earlysville Exchange, also Twice as Nice. We try to, we channel those in-kind donations because we really don't have the space to do that. Really, it's the humanity. You know, all of our neighbors would love to have an American friend. The Great Neighbor Guide program is where we match a newcomer with a local family or individual, and that you have the power to change somebody's life. It isn't necessarily a toaster or a really nice coat, you know, which in a dignified way, they go shopping at these community partnerships. But really, you know, you think about Maslow's hierarchy of needs. They need the same thing, right? Physiologically, they need enough food. We have a great partnership with Loaves and Fishes because this community, because of the financial restraints, they are food insecure. And so basically, everyone has something that they can do. Everyone has something to offer, and everyone can be a great neighbor.
Yeah,
So
I love that.
hopefully they will visit our website and connect.
So Travis Hackworth is watching in Danville, and he has this to say. He goes, I know I'm in Danville right now, but there are lots of industries here that are coming that might be willing to help. Morgan Olson, Tyson's, and Caesars Casino. Keep us in mind if you're looking for an employment opportunities. So that's Danville, Virginia, giving Kari
awesome.
some opportunity here. Scott Williams runs a nonprofit in the area. It's called Camp
For Real.
You know Scott Williams.
I know Scott Williams, yes,
Scott
indeed.
Williams is the man.
He
I
is
love
the
Scott
man.
Williams.
He is also a teacher by trade, you know, again.
He's come on.
teacher.
He's danced on this show.
I bet he has.
yeah.
I think he's danced
didn't know there
Literally
were
everywhere.
options,
danced on
Jerry.
the show. He is just one of the best people in this community. He says, I would love to get some international neighbor families at Camp for Real this summer.
Perfect.
I love what Kari brings to our community. She's the absolute best. So more coming in here. So let's get to Kevin. This is a great question. What is the process to help adapt people to learn the dollar, grocery shopping, installing utilities, navigation of the city, things we take for granted? How do they learn how to adapt from moving from Afghanistan to one of the best cities to live in America? I'm sure these human beings experience fear even though they have left hell.
Absolutely. And
Great question.
Very good question, and I appreciate that empathy that this person has. We all need more empathy, you know, to think about not only what our neighbors have overcome, but just the struggles while they're here. And I think it's repetition, it's having a guide. I believe that the latest number for we human beings to master a skill or something, it used to be having exposure to it 6 times. And I think now with technology, it's something like 19 times. And so really, just like we as infants learned, and you know, seeing something over and over and over again, you might have a parent or a caretaker teaching you these things, and many of our newcomers don't have that person, right? And so in order to learn the dollar, in order to learn the bus system and other things, other resources that we have, it really does take a great neighbor to guide them. And in turn, I can't explain how reciprocal the relationship is. 100% of our former clients are now volunteers, and 100% of our local community that has been matched with a newcomer they've all said, I gained so much more than I think I could have offered. So really, it's the network of people, you know, connecting each other to our town. That's how these folks will succeed and how our community will be better.
That's awesome. Yeah. Sorry, I'm a little speechless.
I know.
This whole thing really gets to me, and it should, and it's mind blowing to me that it doesn't get to more people. And so I would hope that everyone will prove me wrong on that.
Yes.
What is the
Truly.
here's a great question, and Dan, we're going to get to your comment here in a matter of moments, but what is the reputation that Charlottesville has as folks are coming to CVille and migrating here? Is it known? Is it positive? Is it established? Are we still stuck in the 812 brand or connotations? We are?
Somewhat, you know. I think that anybody that comes here, they, as I said, are invited by the government, extreme vetting process. And Charlottesville is one of 23 cities, I believe, where the resettlement agency works. And I know as a teacher, feeling like, why in the world are folks resettled here? It's so expensive. Even as a teacher in Charlottesville City, I could never have afforded a house in the city, on one income. So basically what Charlottesville offers is that we have a public transportation system, low unemployment rate, and medical facilities at UVA. So these are the three factors that cities are chosen to be a resettling community. Very quickly, they do realize, and it's unfortunate that we have lost so many folks. Sometimes I say CVille is that Caucasianville. I love CVille. I love that we welcome a lot of folks here, but the amount of people that do go to other places, it's pretty staggering. But Danville, I often think, where in the USA would folks like to start over and just be able to live? The last family that was from Tanzania that left to go to Wisconsin this summer, they said, we have to move because you can afford your life there. And you can't blame them. It's heartbreaking because you fall in love with these folks, and the American dream is what they're pursuing. And it would be great if it could be pursued more here, but at least it's a starting point for them.
Yeah, I love that, though, that
Great
you can
answer.
afford your life there. And that's really well put. And the fact that they're finding other places where they can afford life is kind of amazing at this point, because I know it's really hard to find any place where you can afford life.
Right.
So we just happen to be a little higher on that affordability challenge.
Absolutely. More
Yeah.
comments coming in. Are you working with K-Tech at all to give folks some working skills for professionalism?
Absolutely. We have had folks go through K-Tech for car mechanics, cosmetology. COVID, of course, slowed a lot of things down, and we're picking those back up. But we're really fortunate to have so many great partnerships in Charlottesville, K-Tech being a strong one.
Ken Wooten, your dad, is giving
hi,
us some
Dad.
props over here. We love when you watch the program, Ken Wooten. So this is a great one from Grayson, who watches the show often. He's watching in Crozet. How did the pandemic impact both Allied Property Management and International Neighbors? Suzanne, you want to start with that one?
Sure. So it certainly changed immediately any human contact when showing a property. You're just out of the gate. And so showing property became, I arrive early, turn all the lights on, stand outside, answer questions outside. Everybody has a mask. But it was easy to get around that. I can also say I did probably more Zoom or FaceTime showings. And what's always surprising is how many folks just said, I want it, and took the property. I had a lot of students who I would show properties, and they'd just say, yep, I'm ready to move in. So definitely, it stretched technology, but it's good to know.
And you made it work. You always make it work.
Yeah.
How about for you, Kari?
Great question, especially when you're interacting with humans that are learning a language. You're a father, correct, Jerry?
I am.
So as your child grew, you probably, if you had just called them on the phone as a 6-month-old, probably would not have gotten your message across. So,
It's true.
So much of what we do is face-to-face. We pride ourselves that we know our neighbors, and, we focus on people, not policies, and we're really lucky to be able to do that. The pandemic definitely impacted our communication as much because so much of it is in person. And we did continue. Adeline and I both are like, how did we never get COVID? I can't believe it, this whole time, because we did still have to visit people, and that's a lot of what our work is. So, but this, I tell you, the community that we get to work with, they're just so inspiring. And, quickly we started making masks, and we were able to equip so many more homes with computers and with that ability to connect. And so we got very good at FaceTime and the technology that doesn't come easy for everybody.
Well, and
Great to hear.
understanding each other, speaking the same language through a mask was hard enough.
Right.
It had to be that much harder having English as a second or third or fourth or fifth language, trying to learn English and doing all of that through a mask. Because even right now when we're sitting here talking, I'm naturally going to look at people's lips while I'm communicating with them, and there are things that my ears may not quite get right, but because I see your lips moving, I know it was said.
Exactly.
So having a mask on during that time, that's definitely a larger challenge when English is not your first language.
Right, right.
Yeah.
And I'd like to implore people who are very apprehensive that, oh, I can't talk to these people. I don't speak Arabic. And it's like, I don't either. But 93% of our messages get made because of body language. And so it's not the vocabulary. If you, on your face, you can definitely tell how you might be feeling, even if you don't even share a word. So, a smile goes a very long way. That's universal. So when you do see newcomers, I would just encourage you to say hello and watch your body language.
This is a great question here from Laura watching the program. Laura, where are you watching in Short Pump? If you could let me know where you're watching, that'd be great. She says, has it been difficult to get funding from the jurisdictions? Are you utilizing success stories to drive funding? If so, can you offer some success stories for the show? I work in nonprofit fundraising myself, and I know it's always difficult to fundraise, especially in a community like Charlottesville that has a lot of nonprofits.
Exactly. In fact, I think the latest number I heard was over 1,000 nonprofits. And I certainly had no interest in starting a nonprofit. I really did not. That was not my intention. So I've learned a lot about the space. And thankfully, there are some wonderful individuals that believe, we give them the opportunity to invest in Charlottesville through these neighbors. We are taking advantage of as much as we can as far as the financial aspects, always seeking for more. So, yes, the success stories are what drives it. And, often it's the most successful fundraising event we had was on a Tuesday, rainy night in February. I'll never forget. And it was at the African American History Center. And it was a soup supper. Everybody kind of brought a potluck, and the goal was to raise $5,000. And I had about 4 refugees there just speaking, talking, telling their story. And at the end of the night, we raised $16,000.
Wow.
That's amazing.
Good for you guys.
It's about time to do another one of those. We could use a potluck and
Yes.
people coming together. So hopefully COVID is going to subside, and we can do that more so in the spring and summer.
Kevin Higgins, and Nikki, I'll throw it back to you. He says, you absolutely set the stage for this show.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much. When, truly, and I say it almost every time I'm on here, it's about knowing amazing people. And I met Kari through 2 of my agents, Maureen and John Russell, who's actually sponsored the breakfast that day to have you as a guest on at one of our sales meetings, and it was amazing. And I think it was a life-changing thing for my agents. We had a packed room. You were able to share your story. We were all mind blown at the challenges that so many people are facing relocating here in ways we would have never imagined. And then Suzanne reached out and was like, hey, I'd really like to, have Kari as a guest on the show. And I was like, let's do it. And there was a lot of back and forth because I already had some of these shows pre-booked out with themes
she's on
and
top
people.
of it. You have it booked out months in advance.
It's the only
over
way
here.
I can keep life going. So
Doing a
I have a
great job.
spreadsheet for everything, and sometimes more than one spreadsheet for everything.
Ken Woon should be very proud. No wonder he watches each week.
Yes, my dad is very
Ken,
proud
we
because
love
of
when
those
you watch
spreadsheets.
Ken.
So representing Pensacola, Florida there, I'm just saying, my hometown.
Pensacola in the house.
Hey,
So how about this one for Kari? Are you concerned that our area will become too costly for folks to move here and be dropped as one of the 23 cities that meets qualifications?
yes, I am. I don't know how that the government piece of it is. Perhaps it will continue to be one, but I think it would be such a detriment to Charlottesville. We're so fortunate that we have such a representation of around the world, and we can learn so much from people unlike ourselves, right? So hopefully that won't happen, but it definitely, we have lost some fantastic individuals to other states just because of the costs here.
And go ahead, please.
We will do everything we can to keep
I know
these
you
folks
will.
here.
I know you will, and we will too. We'll raise as much money as we can so that they can afford their lives.
Absolutely.
So this one, do you miss teaching? Would you go back to teaching?
No, I do not. There are aspects, of course, but I feel like I am still teaching. We're all teachers, we're all learners. It's just now I'm, working with adults as well, kind of cradle to career, we say. But no, I would not go back to teaching, would not plan to.
It's a rough industry to be in,
It
that's
is.
for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you know, we talk about this in the show. We're both parents, and I was having this conversation with my wife, who is undoubtedly the rock of our family. We want our son to grow up into like the most diverse community possible, and one of the items that concerns us about Charlottesville is the lack of diversity, and the lack of eclectic thought. And my mom is Cuban, and she migrated from Cuba with Mima and Poppy when she was in 3rd grade, and came right before Castro took over, and was told, put all your belongings in a bag, and we're going to leave at night. We're going to leave our house. We're going to leave our jobs. We're going to go to Miami. And Mima and Poppy became a ditch digger and a hotel mate, and they did that for the pursuit of freedom, because they were fearful that Castro was going to do what he did. So they did it right before he took over this country. So I can relate as someone who's grown up. Mima and Poppy raised us. My mom and dad were working constantly and like growing a business. So my grandparents raised us. So I'm, diversity and eclectic thought and just open-mindedness is paramount, because that's the way we grew up. And I just want to thank you for everything you have done and champion you. I think anything that makes this community, and Nikki, I know you feel the same way, that makes it as open-minded and as diverse as possible for our kids is just going to make our next generation even stronger and better leaders.
Yes.
As I've become a dad and a parent, like watching this little boy, and you guys can relate, just kind of grow up is just like the best, like, it's not always easy, but it's like it's the best
I noticed
thing
your
in
bar
the whole
over there.
freaking world. Like, it's the best thing in the whole world, watching him do stuff. And I just want him to be, Nikki, in like the best situation possible.
Yes.
That's cool. We need to get him to go over to your place and,
I
know,
and play
yes.
with some of these.
Oh,
I
my
would love
goodness.
to do that.
That would be
On the
amazing.
playground across,
Yes.
and
Oh
in
my
the
God.
pool across
Absolutely.
from.
We've been
Oh
there
my
with
gosh,
them.
yes, you are doing
We
your
need to
part.
do that.
Thank you for
Thank you.
opening your
Thank
rental
you.
property to this family.
Well, and I want to highlight Suzanne, because I 100% trust her, and I've had the chance to get to know Ally Property Management. And guys, this is as genuine as it gets. This is your 4th time, I believe, on the show?
It is, yes.
And every time I'm like, this lady is so impressive. And then it came up, and I was just like, let's give it a try. And she goes, you got to trust me with this. And I'm like, I do. And it's worked out. And it's just been amazing. It's just trust is paramount here, and you're someone I can trust. Anywhere you want to go with this, Nikki? I know I went on
Well,
a
so I'm just thinking of
sidetrack.
the diversity in our community. We really are so much more diverse than it seems to be. And truly, I don't quite know why that is. I know I had that same first impression when I moved to the area. I didn't know what Charlottesville was. I didn't know about UVA. Yes, I was kind of ignorant and all that. And I got here and I was like, oh, wow, okay. But then the first time where it really hit me that there was a much larger community was when I was working at Mud House, and I was at the downtown mall location, and I realized we had this group of older guys that came by regularly that spoke a combination of Arabic and Turkish, and would sit out and play. I don't know what they were playing out there because I was inside working, but they were playing something and smoking and enjoying their kahwa, and I was like, oh my gosh, we have more people here. And we do. So I think part of that too is just connecting to more diversity. I found a lot of that by roller skating. The rec center at the Jefferson School has roller skating. I think it's every Friday and Sunday now again. It was shut down a little bit, but it's back and rolling. And sometimes they have like special adult nights on Saturday night, which is always very nice because you're not running little people over, or they're not falling in front of you, making you trip, things like that. But that's there are ways, and I think that looking for that and finding that is really important.
And June 20th, if everyone would mark their calendar now for World Refugee Day and International
really?
Neighbors. Yep. And we will be at Ix Park this year for another celebration of cultures. And so come on out, bring your families.
So what does that celebration look like at Ix?
Well, last year was the first time we did it there, and we have
nice.
lots of our community members who are phenomenal cooks, and you'll have foods from around the world. You'll be able to experience some fashion from around the world. And
Is this a ticketed event? How does this work?
it is not a
It
ticketed
is not.
event.
Oh, wow.
But if anyone who donates will get one of these cherished umbrellas that Jerry is now
Oh,
Lovely.
my
Can I
gosh.
donate
So-
now? Can we all donate now for that umbrella?
Absolutely.
How do
Oh,
we do this?
Anytime, anytime.
Did you see the umbrella? It's super cool.
I mean, it does.
You're
look
getting
just
one.
at a
You're getting
glance.
one.
Yeah.
It's super cool. So
Yeah.
here's a challenging question for the panel. This is a challenging question. This is from Spencer. How does the panel think Charlottesville can improve and become a better community? Does anyone want to go first on that one? I think
my
Kari's
gosh.
already got an answer ready to
I
rock
feel
and
like
roll
so.
already.
I'm trying to make sure it's PC.
I think I would just say 2 words.
No,
Oh, Suzanne wants to go.
Suzanne,
Oh,
go for it.
yes,
Yes,
please
go ahead.
do. Yeah.
Short, brief, openness, and through education
Nice. Yeah.
and experience. Just to experience these people.
I love it. I love it. How about you, Kari?
Connecting, increasing empathy for folks. One of my wishes is that every single day, if somebody talked to somebody unlike them, like had a real conversation, different in color, different in language, what have you, you'll realize just how much you don't know and how much learning can improve your own self as well as Charlottesville.
No, I agree. Oh my gosh. I just don't even know where to begin with this. I think that being willing to do some of the things that like Suzanne's clients are willing to do. And they're not even offering a discounted rent, though honestly, I would say being willing to do that would be life-changing because it was life-changing for me. And I was a privileged white woman as a single mom in ways that I truly can speak to because I had friends who were not white women going through a similar thing only a few years later that did not experience the empathy that I received
Yes.
in any form or fashion because of the color of their skin. And it was very, very apparent to me, and it was very challenging to see that happen. So truly, like for me, being offered a discounted rent based on my non-income at the time was a huge life-changing factor.
And look at you now, thriving and giving back. See,
I try.
Using your privilege to empower other people, I think that is
Yeah.
very necessary. And I'd like to echo that because we have been told more times than we've been told yes about these homes. No, we got to have that credit history. That's what we've always done. That's what we're
Yes.
always doing.
Yes.
And I appreciate you and your clients being open to adapt to the times. We hopefully are always evolving, and sometimes it's a reevaluation of your procedures. So thank you.
So why don't we close with this, ladies? An hour flies by when you're having fun here. How about some perspective on how we can find Allied Property Management and International Neighbors, and then Nikki Chambless? Why don't we close with a final word from this show, which has just been dynamite. Suzanne, why don't you take the lead on this one?
So how we can find them.
Yeah,
So,
Allied Property
yes,
Management.
yes. So, we're out there, and we have a website that is Your Ally, Your Friend in Property Management. So our website is yourallypm.com.
YourAllyPM.com.
Reach out to us because we are growing by leaps and bounds and happy to be doing it.
She is
Very
absolutely
excited.
amazing. She is
Yes, she
amazing,
is.
amazing, amazing. Kari, the show is yours.
Well, I just thank you for the platform. I thank you for being open to having folks on. I often say we're not a voice for the voiceless because these newcomers have a voice, but we're more of a conduit to their voices. These are not the squeaky wheels, and oftentimes that's why we don't know just how diverse Charlottesville is because they don't have children on the swim team, for example, or maybe, aren't as integrated as we would like for them to be. So I love CVille, and hopefully CVille can be a place that many other people can call home.
Great answer. Nikki, you
And
got to
your,
follow
your
that right
website
there.
is internationalneighbors.org.
ORG.
And then the other aspect of that is I want you to say something again that you said earlier that I really like what it is. And you were referring to IRC and international neighbors. Do you know what I'm asking?
And the difference, yep.
Yeah.
So oftentimes we are asked how we're different, and IRC is from harm to home, and we are surviving to thriving.
And I love that. And I think that's an amazing description of how you work together and what you do. That surviving to thriving is such an important step in life. And truly being able to have people who, you said you have now 7 people who have gone through this program who now are donors.
Absolutely.
That's incredible.
Who
That
just 4 years
speaks
ago
so much.
needed help with rent because, they were resettled from Syria and needed to get some shrapnel removed from their body, and so weren't able to start their employment
Yeah.
for about a month. So just that little thing, now just to show, not only can they use a computer, they have a credit card, and of course they are choosing us to be supporting financially. So
amazing. Yeah.
it is great.
Well, and I would say, so as far as wrapping up this show, if you're sitting there thinking, well, I don't know how I can give, I don't know what I can do. I mean, it could just be a matter of sitting and having a cup of coffee with someone who maybe doesn't speak your language, having your children play together on the playground. Why not have an International Neighbors play date? I don't know what that would look like, but why not? Heck, I can
Right.
bring my teenagers as long as, you don't mind that one of them is going to sit and not talk to anybody. And
I've got
it's
a-
not
I've
a
got a
language
teenager,
barrier.
so-
It's just a life decision.
When does that
and
happen?
I support that.
'Cause my 4-year-old won't stop talking.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah, you're probably out of luck. Sorry.
When does that happen? Not that I mind, but
Nope,
I don't
you're out
have
of luck.
questions for what do the moose do during the day when you're at work, Daddy? That was the question on the way
Ask
to
your
school
mom.
today.
That's what
Stay
that's the
curious.
I'm not
answer.
sure, son.
No. So, but giving, even if you just signed up, and I would imagine there's a way to sign up to donate regularly.
Absolutely.
What if your budget only allows signing up to do $5 a month? Because do you know what that $5 a month is going to be life changing? If every one of us who are just even watching the show right now sign up for $5 a month together, I don't even know.
amazing.
Do we know what our numbers are like as a general rule for everyone watching live in this moment?
Last year we reached a little over 253,000 people in Central Virginia, 4 million in the Commonwealth, and 8 million outside of Virginia.
Okay, so if we even just divide some of that into the amount of people, let's just say 100 people were somehow watching the show today. That's $500 a month.
Exactly, and that would be huge. We could send so many more children to summer camps. We could
Exactly.
We could make sure that people are getting the medical support that they need, and it truly is life changing. So
Yes.
one neighbor at a time. Hopefully, we can change the world together.
Wonderful. And so taking these big problems that seem so insurmountable, that can seem like too much. That can just be immobilizing, truly, if you're looking at that. But if you break it down into what you can do, I think what you'll find is there are things you can do, and you can make a difference, and being a part of the Charlottesville community and the surrounding areas is such a huge, important thing. Thank you guys so much for being here on the show today. Thank you,
Thank
Jerry,
you
for
for
having
having
us, and
Absolutely.
Thank you, Nikki.
Kari, for sharing your mission, and Suzanne, for putting action behind your belief and your passion for this. This is amazing.
Yes,
Absolutely, and thank you guys for bearing with me during allergy season. Nikki Chambless did a heck of a job today. I want to highlight that. Kari Miller is just a rock star. Loaves of bread and feeding hundreds and walking on water over here. Kari Miller.
Jesus.
And Suzanne Riehl, guys, is someone you can absolutely count on. I'm speaking firsthand from this. Ally Property Management is just a rock. Another rock is Judah Wickhauer, our director, and I want to highlight him and what he does for this network and our shows. My name is Jerry Miller, and this is Real Talk on a Monday, and it's just been a fabulous way to start our day. I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as we did. We will catch up with you guys on the I Love CVille show in 1 hour and 9 minutes. You guys have a good morning. Take care. And he's going to tell us when the mics are off here.